Right, I'm live now, Jack. We're live. Get it down. Right, so good evening. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. First of all, I'm wearing my Scottish gear. I just want to give a big shout out to our Scottish contingent of Davy and Caroline up there in Scotland who were protesting, a big protest yesterday against the Scottish hate bill. So that's Caroline and Davy up in Scotland, loyal as you could ever be, and they are members of the Nationalists in Party UK, and hopefully soon in the future, Davy will be running in elections. But I want to give a big shout out to them. With no Pat tonight, it's not too good, and neither is Ragz, but he may turn up. But we've got Jack and we've got Paul Wimmer. Welcome, guys. Welcome. So,
welcome, everybody.
Evening, mate.
As you can see, we've got some pictures up there, and it's obviously Prime Minister of the UK, Rishi Sunak, the Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan. We've got Umsaf Yousaf, the First Minister of Scotland. Then we've got Leo Varadkar, who's just gone out, and then we've got the new First Minister of Wales. And guys, these people are all box tickers. They're all 100% box tickers, and they're just corrupt to the core. So you know, we're going to start. We'll start with Jack. Jack, tell us about Leo.
Leo Varadkar, right? So he is a absolute paid up member of the World Economic Forum, Davos, all of those massive sort of institutions that try and influence how we're going to live and plan for the future and stuff. He loves all that. He's loved on that stage. So he's not going to go without money. He'll do speaking tours now, and he will make some absolute coin. They always do, don't they? These politicians, you know, they go on these tours and they just make obscene amounts of money for what? Just waffle. I don't find any of these people highly intelligent. I find them all midwits, really, and they're just lackeys. They're lackeys for the people who really pull the strings. So Leo Varadkar, yeah, he was known as the Dandy Gandhi, Indian man, gay fella. You know, I mean, tick, isn't it, for the old DEI? You know, yeah, he's gone now. I think it was a bit of a rat fleeing the sinking ship moment. I don't think Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael are going to go do really well in the elections next year. I've let a lot of people down. You know, the housing crisis in the Republic is just off the scale, and it's not. There's a thing known as the hidden homeless, right? So these aren't people on the streets. These are people who are lucky enough to get a sofa or a box room for a few nights, and they move on. And that the hidden homeless, the figures are obscene on that too. So young Irish people will never probably. There's so many of them who will never, ever, ever, ever have the opportunity to own their own homes. They will be renters for life. I'm in that situation now. I will never own a home unless I come into a windfall. I don't play the lottery, so that's not going to happen. But, you know, if I ever come into a windfall or maybe some sort of inheritance, but there's no way I'm ever going to own my own home. So, I'm in that situation. I'm a renter for life. But going back to the subject, I've gone a little bit off there. Yeah, so Leo Varadkar, he's gone now. His replacement is a guy called Simon Harris. And I listened to a podcast last night, as I told you, John. It was a very left-wing podcast, socialist podcast, with a guy called Joe Brolly. Don't like him. But my boss said, listen to this, have a listen to what he's saying. I agreed with what he was saying about the elites and the gap between the rich and poor. Just it's the biggest it's ever been, and it's only getting wider, right? The haves and the have-nots. It's just... So Simon Harris is dubbed as there was an article about him, and he's known as the white Obama. So make of that what you will, guys. He's another yes man. He stands for nothing. Doesn't really have any bright ideas. Doesn't want to bring anything major to the table. Just going to do everything that the people in charge want him to do. So that's what I would say,
Jack. These people are puppets. At the end of the day, somebody else is nominating them and controlling them. And we all know that. The globalist Zionist elite. They want these faces in the front. This is the problem with them all, as you say, is they're being selected because of who they are, not what they're capable of doing. And when we have Fishy Rishi, right? He is completely useless. He was an absolute disaster as the Chancellor. I mean, during the COVID, he just spent. That's why we've had this inflation. That's why we've got the high interest rates. That's why people are now going into negative equity and having to pay fortune in mortgages. He was not a responsible Chancellor. He didn't seem to have the instinct for controlling the economy. He took it down the plug hole. Now, I think with Rishi Sunak, he's not, you see, these people, apart from the Welsh guy, have not got a drop of British blood in their veins. They haven't got our character. They haven't got our sense of priorities. They're not in tune with our history and who we are. They're just appointees, foreign appointees. I mean, Rishi Sunak, he's not a Christian, he's a Hindu. What does that mean to us? I mean, we relate to our Christian heritage. I mean, I can speak about people like John Wesley or David Livingstone or John Knox in Scotland, or, you know, even the Catholic martyrs. But these people have been part of our history, and they've been part of shaping who we are, these Christian saints. Rishi Sunak is not a Christian. He's a Hindu. What's that got to do with me? What's that got to do with our national story? He's not British. He hasn't got British blood in his veins. He's a Hindu. He belongs to India. He should be in India helping the Indian economy. He's running our country, and he is completely useless. But I want to emphasize this question, or this point, that they are incompetent, because Humza Yousaf is known as Humza Useless in Scotland, because he can't seem to do anything right. He is a waste of space as well. Sadiq Khan, he won election into London as the mayor because he had an operation called Operation Black Vote, where he mobilized the ethnic minorities behind him, especially the Muslim bloc vote. Now, it was pure sectarianism, totally divisive, and this is what these people are about: divisiveness. You know, dividing us into different groups. Suddenly, they're the favored people now. The Asians, the Muslims, the Hindus, the Africans, they're the favored people, and we are the unwanted. I mean, this was said at the time of Enoch Powell. We're the second-class citizens now, and it's like you go from Fishy Rishi, you go to Humza Useless, you go to Sad Sadiq, and now we've got this new guy in Wales, right? I can't even remember his name, Vaughan something.
Vaughan Gethin.
Yeah. Now, he was born in Zambia in Africa, but his father is Welsh. His mother is an African. So he's got
his mother was a chicken farmer.
Yeah, she was indeed, which is quite common in Africa. But obviously, his father's Welsh, so he's got a claim to Britishness. So I've listened to this guy. I've given the time of day. He is another complete and utter box ticker. All he goes on about is racism. In a very polite way. He reminds me of Barack Obama, but he's putting the knife into white people all the time. He's accusing, you know, who are the racists? Are they his fellow mixed race people or black people? No, the racists are the white people. And he keeps claiming that he's a victim of something or other. Now, he's had a very privileged upbringing. Went to private school. His father was a doctor. He lived on a farm. He's very politely spoken. He's got no drum to beat saying I've been suffered and I've been a victim all my life. He hasn't. He's been privileged. And yet he's got an agenda to overturn and radically change this country. That's what it's all about, overturning and radically changing the country. But it's the cherry on the cake. They've been building this cake for decades, and these people just represent our total replacement and our dispossession. And the British now are being pushed to the margin in their own country. John?
Right. Well, I mean, good that. Let me just tell you about that first Wales minister. It took a £200,000 donation off a guy who's been convicted of poisoning the Wales. Convicted of environmental poisoning. He took a 200k loan and he's not giving it back That tells me everything about the scumbag. It tells me everything. He's corrupt to the core. He'll take bribes off anybody and all that lot. I mean, if you want me to start on like Odysee, First Minister of Scotland, I can't even say his name, and I'm not apologising for saying it. I'm not going to learn it. What a clown. So both the Wales minister and the Scottish minister, neither of them have done any well when the ministerial roles coming up to where they are now. They failed in every section of their ministerial roles. If you want me to go into it, I have done videos on USAF. I put in the link to the 200 grand donation that this guy's got.
And
Hold on. Just let me finish. So, I mean, and remember, who's next to go on the list? I think it'll be Rishi who's going to go next. And if you want me to start on Sadiq Khan, go and talk to a black cab driver in London. You talk to any black cab driver, any bus driver, or anyone who drives in London about the state of that town now because of you, Les, and stuff like that. They're not doing nothing about knife crime. Everyone's still stabbing each other like water. There's been nothing said. He resists stop and search, which is proved to have worked, but he don't want to do that because it's racial. And honestly, it's a joke. All these guys are an absolute joke. And I'm going to say that Rishi Sunak is going to be the next one of them out. Rishi. Over to you, Jack.
Yeah, well, I wanted to talk about Rishi because, like, he sort of come from nowhere, didn't he? Like, I hadn't heard of him before the pandemic, and he's just like a fucking rising star. So someone saw him, and I think, you're talking about the people who, Paul, you mentioned the globalists and all that. I think they saw him, they groomed him. They're like, he's our next guy because he'll do anything we want. You know, he's essentially a billionaire. His partner is a heiress to billions. You know, they've got stakes in. Is it Infosys? Is their dad's company, a massive software company? So like they're going down a conspiratorial route, but you know, when you've got companies like that, they've got all these backdoor patches into all your, stuff like that. Infosys, I think it's called. They've also got a lot of stake in like digital ID companies because we know that's coming, right? We're not stupid. We're being programmed to accept it. You hear it, then people dissent about it. It goes away, then it comes back again. Do you remember under the Labour government, they were talking about a national ID card for everyone? Do you remember that, guys? How would you feel? How would you feel about that in the current situation where, we're being invaded by unknowns who just say, they could be from anywhere. If they've got that ethnicity look, right, wherever the trouble is at the moment, they come on a boat and go, yeah, we're Palestinian. It doesn't, because they've got no documents. How do you prove where these people are from so you can repatriate them? That's a tricky question, right? How are we going to do that?
It's a technical question, but the problem is there's no will to stop this invasion. This invasion is deliberate. Where there's a will, there's a way. There's no the reason they're not stopping the invasion is they don't want to stop it. It's all deliberate. It's about replacement. It's the Khaledi plan. It's the melting pot. But getting back to Rishi Sunak, I first met Rishi Sunak over 10 years ago.
Oh, wow.
2013. It was Margaret Thatcher's funeral. I went down to London to pay my respects to our great leader. And after the funeral, there was a reception in a pub in London. There was a lot of Tories there. I met the likes of Norman Tebbit and Cecil Parkinson and so on. Anyway, there was an open mic, and I took the mic. And I gave.
Of course you did.
I gave a speech there, which had the whole pub in silence. Because actually, when I was young, I was a lefty at university at Cambridge, and I threw eggs at Mrs. Thatcher. I threw 2 eggs at her. Now, I missed her, thankfully, but it was on TV. Now, I came to respect and actually admire Mrs. Thatcher and supported her in the end because I felt she was a decent woman, a patriot with a lot of great ideas to revive this country. She got 4% growth per annum. We've never had that before. We've never had it since in the economy. A lot of people got rich and got wealthy under Mrs. Thatcher once her policies started to kick in. But at that meeting was a certain Rishi Sunak and his buddies. a small group of Indian conservatives. Now, in my speech, I said that Mrs. Thatcher was a patriot. She showed that in the Falklands War. She showed it in Northern Ireland. She loved this country. She was a deep patriot, even though, you know, Mrs. Thatcher was of Irish heritage. Her family came from County Cork. She was part of the O'Shea clan. But she was a deep patriot. The Irish never know that, but that's the truth. She was a deep patriot. She loved this country. She flew the flag. And I said she had British character, British guts, British bulldog spirit, true British determination. Anyway, this group of Indian lads, which included Rishi Sunak, didn't like that comment. And they started, oh, whatever. You know, they started jeering me. Now, if Rishi Sunak does not appreciate British character, he's not British, is he? This is the problem, you see. They don't really connect with us. Rishi Sunak, he's already asked his people around him, do you think I'm not up to this job? Do you think I'm a failure as Prime Minister? He's a totally useless Prime Minister. Nobody listens to him because he's got nothing worth saying. But instead of stepping aside, he's holding on to his position because that's all it is for him, a position. Once it's over, he always wanted to go and live in California. He's got no loyalty to this country. If this country sinks or swim, it doesn't really matter that much to Rishi Sunak because he's just part of the international Indian elite. How has he become the leader of our country? It says in the Bible, right, that you do not put foreigners in charge of your own country because they haven't got your interest at heart. Now, Rishi Sunak, as I say, would be better off in India. He's useless. Now, we've just seen Leo Varadkar in Ireland, right? Leo Varadkar is another globalist, but he made a big mistake, didn't he? He went to America. No, he went to America and lectured Joe Biden about the Palestinian situation. He stepped on the toes of the Jews, of the Zionists. And there's one thing these people have got to learn. You're only puppets. You don't step on the toes of your masters. You see, the whole goal is to transform Britain out of all recognition so that when the elite take control, as they are now, and impose their will upon us, there'll be no British bulldog spirit left to fight back. That's what we're losing with these guys. John?
Thank you. Honestly, couldn't say as much myself. Now, I'm just going to try and find, there is a link to report Umsaf Yousaf on this new hate crime bill because of that white speech he did, and the Labour, the Labour chief in Scotland. They both done it. So I'm going to try and find the tweet, and then there is a link to reporting it. And what I'm going to say to everyone is reporting. I
mean, I've heard that. I've seen on Twitter and that the Scotland police have had over 300,000 complaints about his speech. The sheriff, wait, and he said it with venom, didn't he? That's the thing.
It was nasty.
The mask came off, didn't it? At that moment, you know, it was a mask off moment. And I see that someone did that. Someone did it back, and they were like, Prime Minister of the UK, brown. Mayor of London, brown. First Minister of Wales, black. You know, so honestly, it goes both ways.
The thing is, he didn't pick any class of people. He picked all white people. That's what he did. He generalized, just like Diane Abbott does, right? All white people. And I just, God forbid, forgive me, but if my mum had a senses, she would be fucking furious with these people. You know what I mean? And you know, and my mum's white as white, but she would be furious on how they talk and the way they talk about all people. You know what I mean? It's just unbelievable. I'm still trying to find this link, guys, but bear with me.
Well, the thing is, John, we do live in a multiracial society now. Now, that can work, but it can only work if we have a shared culture. Because, you see, how can you have a society where people would speak different languages or worship different gods or respect different holy days? I mean, it doesn't work ultimately. It will break down. We're getting a ghettoized society. Different groups are just fighting for their interests. Nobody's
Little
fighting
enclaves.
for the enclaves. Well, beyond enclaves, they're taking ground. They're colonies, and they're taking ground, and they're taking over. And it's going to come to a Northern Ireland situation where you're just going to have different competing groups. The problem is the British haven't woken up to the reality that we're being pushed to the margin and pushed over the hill. They want us out the way. They want us gone. They don't want the British bulldog spirit to survive in any form whatsoever. Humza Yousaf, when he became leader of the SNP and de facto leader of Scotland, said that his prime goal was to bring in more Pakistani immigrants. He's not interested in Scotland. How did Scottish nationalism end up with somebody who's not really interested in Scotland at its head? I mean, it reminds me of Sinn Féin. Sinn Féin now is supposedly a Catholic Irish nationalist party, but they promote abortion, the killing of Catholic children. They promote sodomy and divorce, the breakup of the Irish family. And they promote mass immigration. I mean, they say in Ireland now, Brits out, foreigners in. I mean, eventually Ireland's just going to be overrun. I mean, in fact, so many Arabs and Africans and Asians into Ireland that it will quickly be overrun. I mean, you go to Dublin now; it's no longer it's a global city. It doesn't seem to have.
Horrible.
You speak to people in Dublin, and to come across an Irishman is unusual now in Dublin. And you speak to people now. We can make multiculturalism, multiracialism work, but multiculturalism is a very different factor. These people have got homelands. I mean, Rishi Sunak, Humza Yousaf, Sadiq Khan, and Leo Varadkar are all from one place in India, the Punjab. The Punjab is a very sectarian state where these religions basically compete with each other and fight with each other and occasionally slaughter each other. And they're representing each a faction of the Punjab in Britain. How did this come about? How did this happen? How were these people? Because these people were selected, as you said earlier, Jack. They weren't voted in. They were all selected.
Yeah. Selected, not elected.
Well, who of them won election except Sadiq Khan because he mobilises the Muslim bloc vote in London? I mean, this is absolutely the globalist Zionist elite taking control of our country, and people are going along with it. This is the problem. How far has the British character slipped that we've allowed this? It's humiliation, really, to happen to our country. How far have we slipped as the people? I mean, this is, as I say, it's gone on for decades because they've been pushing this anti-white, anti-British, anti-Christian agenda for decades. And people now are totally they're disillusioned, they're disorientated. They can't see a future. John?
Right, so let me just plug the party a little bit. As you can see, our PayPal link's on the bottom. We've also got an admin email. Let me put our other banner up. You can get hold of me and Pat on these emails, john.lawwrence, nationalhousingparty.uk, and patrick.mcginnis at National Housing Party UK. Thank you for joining us, Rory. Veteran in the chat there. Talk to me on Friday. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your service, sir.
Thank you to everybody in the chat. Really good. Again, we're on 77 watching right now. But don't forget, right, we're doing things, guys. We're pushing things. I'll put my leaflet on Twitter and on social media, but there's controversial stuff on it. But no one's going to stop me talking about it. I picked up my nomination form today, so Friday we'll know who's running in the Oldham election. There's 20 seats up for grabs, which is one in every one of the 20 wards, and so we'll see how we do. I've got my leaflets coming by the end of the week, and I'll be busy over the next month leafleting and that. But please, guys, if you can support us, there's a PayPal there. If you have any inquiries or anything like that, we've got an admin email, or you can email either me or Pat. Thank you very much. You'll see me on Friday on the Veteran Show. We had a cracker last week with some awesome guests. So if you want to join us on the Veterans Show Friday, please do. I'm going to be in Bath at the end of May doing the Big Brother. So if you want to come down to Bath, Timmy's Bobinson's mentioned it. You need to bring a tent for a couple of days, and that'll be the last 2 weeks of May. If you want to come down, we do have some amenities and all that, but I'm hoping to meet up with a few people. We're also going to be going to HMP Bristol and doing a protest there for justice for Bunny. And also I'm going to be talking about veterans locked up as well, because on the show last week, I got told that 13% of the prison population in 2009 was made up of veterans. And this come from a reliable source. So I'm interested what that issue is. So I'll be talking about it. But thank you for joining us, guys. Thank you. We've got the worst UK leaders up on screen there. These guys are all box tickers. None of them have successfully done anything. Rishi's money got him into politics. He only came in 2015, and his big bucks and his money got him into politics. And obviously, because he's Indian, that gives him an extra tick on the diversity ladder. Sadiq Khan's still in, calling everyone right wing. Yet one of the main people I've seen against Sadiq Khan is another Pakistani guy who goes round measuring the nastiness in the air in London, and he got really popular. He does it on the underground, goes at overground and all that, and he's calling out Sadiq Khan. But still, Sadiq Khan has to call white people and right wingers. That's all he ever does. And if you've been to a ULEZ demo, you're in London, you'll realise it's a wide, broad mix of people. It's not particularly anyone right wing, it's not particularly anyone left wing. It's just normal residents around London who can't travel because of the constrictions we have on them. Obviously, Wales have started off 20 miles an hour, which is going to come across all of Britain. They're going to push these things on us towards, and I've no doubt they'll be pushing 15 cities more, 15-minute cities. But all these guys are corrupt. None of them have had any kind of successful past before they came into politics. They've been dragged up because of box tickers. They're already going on about that guy from Wales. Oh, the first black leader in Europe is a box ticker. You know what I mean? He's an 100% box ticker. And I want to know what he's going to do with that 200 grand donation from an environmentalist who wants to poison our land. Honestly, you just couldn't make this up. And we put these people in, well, we haven't put these people in power, but the globalist elite have put these people in power, and it's wrong. But before we go to Jack, remember, guys, Nationalising Party, we're doing things. We're running in elections. We're making a change and a difference. I'm making a change in Oldham by running and talking about things that no other party or no other candidate or councillor will talk about. And Big John talks about it. Been on all my leaflets, all the controversial stuff. So just remember, you can go to a demo and stuff like that. But you can also donate to us, and we're countrywide. Soon, hopefully, on my 2-year break, I'll be going up to Scotland to get our mate Davey ready to run in the local elections in Scotland, which is a bit more complicated than down here. So I'm going to go up there. We've got Angie New running in the Wirral. We've got Pat running in central London. Hopefully we'll have Tracy running in Leicester. And our leaflets are going all over the country, guys. So get on board with us. If you want to join up, if you want to run as a candidate, that's what we want. Please let us know. Please let us know. Our values aren't particularly, policies aren't particularly extreme, not like some other people and stuff like that. But please donate to us, do what you can for us, and share. Over to you, Jack.
Yeah, I don't know if he's one of your guys, but a guy in the chat called Nick Wilson said he's also put a nomination form in for Rochdale. Is he one of you?
No, it's not one of us, but he's an independent in Rochdale.
Brilliant.
Wholly support them independents in Rochdale. I did a couple of days leafleting for Billy on the Member of Parliament, but now they've got a few candidates up. They're starting an independent group up, and they're running in local elections, and Nick's going to be running, not this year, I think, not this election, but he will be running. But and also Nick is going to be joining us on our a reboot course on our PTSD, combat PTSD reboot course.
Brilliant.
And I
you're doing some great stuff, guys. You've got a lot of irons in the fire, as they say. So keep it up, man. Keep it up. Keep the momentum going. Don't and you know the old adage: don't let the bastards grind you down. So the independents running in Rochdale, are they talking about the crime that we're not meant to mention that went on there? I mean, it wasn't just there, but Rochdale was like the well, wasn't it? Are they mentioning this? Because I think it has to be mentioned.
Right. Well, if you try and find George Galloway on Twitter. My mate Billy Howarth, Pag UK Billy, got a meeting with George, and George came on Twitter and said it's not good enough, and he's going to get people sacked and police booted out of the police. That's what he said on Twitter. And so he's listening to Billy, and it's one of the biggest scandals we've had in the UK has been the child sexual exploitation in Rochdale. I know there's Telford and all that, but nowhere has been worse hit than Rochdale. We've had that fat Cyril Smith abusing kids for years, unaccountable. We've had social workers take kids off families, accusing them of being in satanic rituals when they weren't. They kept the jobs. The Labour leader, a Labour leader, lied to an inquiry saying he didn't know about child abuse in these care homes, and he did. So, unfortunately, Rochdalians are mad and they're rising up. So, whatever help I can give them, I will give them. I'm a professional door knocker. And for Billy, I went and did all the Pakistani area myself. Fearless John. Fearless Scotland's area. John went delivering all the leaflets there, talking with people about the politics and stuff like that. So, there is going to be big change around Rochdale. If we do call, if Billy will call, he's going to call for people to go up and leaflet and door knock and things like that. Please join him. Please join in. And we're
just getting back to these leaders now, these foreign leaders that are taking over our country. I want to look at two aspects of this. Firstly, the hollowing out of British institutions. When I was growing up, the BBC, the Conservative Party, the Church of England, they were institutions which safeguarded our nation. They were respected institutions. And, part of my education was from the BBC. There was high quality programs constantly on the BBC. The Church of England was the English nation. It was the English, and of course, the Church in Wales at prayer. You see, one of the things that forms a nation is communion. We gather around the communion cup. We share the bread and the wine. That was one of the central aspects of the creation of the English nation. Now, these people, like Rishi is a Hindu, Bharagya was a Sikh, Humza Yusuf and Sadiq Khan are quite militant Muslims. I don't know what Vernon Getting's religion is. I guess he was probably Christian. I don't know how committed he is. But anyway, the Conservative Party is finished now. It's totally corrupt. It's lost its compass. It's become, we got box tickers, but it's become just another puppet of the globalist elite. And they brought Cameron back, haven't they? And Cameron was part of that. He pushed same-sex marriage and so on. This whole WF agenda. We've lost the Tory party. The party of Winston Churchill, Enoch Powell, Margaret Thatcher. It's just been taken over now by these globalists who don't really respect this country and don't respect its traditions. The same in the Church of England. The Church of England has compromised its whole Christian stance. The Church of England has gone down a plug hole to another liberal institution. And then, of course, the BBC has been taken over by the homosexual brigade. And the thing is, the Labour Party, which once was a reasonable voice of the working class in Britain, what's happened to the working class? The Labour Party, if they get in power, every Labour MP is there because of box ticking. Every single Labour MP is totally and utterly incompetent. They couldn't manage a fish stall. They're a waste of space. I mean, we see these guys here. The Labour Party just have selected people. Like there was a Bangladeshi woman in East London. She had no political experience. She just ticked all the right boxes. You know, if you're black, or if you're Bangladeshi, or if you're Pakistani, or if you're homosexual, and then they will push the transgender agenda, just like Humza Yousaf is in Scotland. Labour are trying to hoodwink the British people to believe that they're a reasonable, patriotic party. They're nothing of the sort. It's cultural Marxism. It's about the destruction of our history, our traditions, our institutions, our family, everything. But it's gone on so long. The rot has got so deep now. I mean, abortion was legalized in 1967. It's almost 60 years ago. I mean, you've got to be over 60, you've got to be over 80, really, to remember a Britain where people, you know, welcomed the unborn as precious, where families were strong and divorce was unacceptable in Britain in the 1950s. It was unacceptable.
You made it work.
Yeah, but now all the family's being undermined, Britain's being undermined, and the British character, as talked about earlier, has been undermined. How are we going to redeem this country? I mean, we've got the National Housing Party here. We're a small party. There's other parties. I mean, Reform, whatever you think of that. But there are other parties which are, you know, swinging the lead. But maybe we need either Trump or Putin to triumph, because can you see any hope in Britain, Jack, of Britain reviving and throwing off these globalists and becoming the nation we once were, the British bulldog spirit?
See, unfortunately, at the moment, I can't see a way out of this. And like, there's a guy I like called the Angry Bootneck. He's an ex-Marine. You should get him on one night for your veteran stream. I'll put you in touch with him. Have you ever seen him? He comes on our streams once a month.
I have seen him.
Recurring guest. Yeah, he's very funny. He does like videos like talking all about this fucking news on the BBC. How he knows what's going on. And yeah, it's I can't remember where I was going with that, but
where's the hope? Where's the hope?
Britain. So he's like, and I'm almost there now, like an accelerationist. Whatever needs to happen now. We can't just keep plodding along like this. And like, I never thought I'd be an accelerationist, because it is quite a, you know, because things have got to get a lot worse before they get better, unfortunately. And I'm not trying to doom pill anyone or black pill anyone. That's just my opinion. I can't see light at the end of the tunnel yet, but I have hope, you know.
Well, let me say something on that, Jack, just quickly. The economy, right? Labour's going to come into power. Labour cannot manage an economy, right? They're going to try and spend money. We can't borrow anymore. Our borrowing's continuing to go through the roof because of high interest. We're having to spend more and more on paying the interest on our borrowings. We're basically becoming bankrupt as a nation. There's no growth in the economy. The growth now is like 0.1%, or we're actually in recession. House prices are starting to fall. People's living standards are being squeezed by this high mortgage payments. People are going to be pushed out of their comfort zone. This is the thing about a Labour government, right? A Labour government has got nothing to offer.
Right.
And they're going to make it even worse, because they're offering no solutions now. I mean, they're going to make immigration worse. They're going to make the economy worse. And they're going to make the unease in this country. You talk about you can't see any light at the end of the tunnel. People are going to be pushed out of their comfort zones. And they're going to have to ask the simple question, do you want a future as a nation? We need a group of people. What you need is a catalyst. Committed patriots who are ready to stand up for Britain. But of course, in November, we've got a crucial election in America. Donald Trump could really turn the tide there. And it's on the cards at the moment. They've done everything to shoot him down, but that man has got 9 lives. And of course, in the East, they're losing the war in the Ukraine. The Russians are on the offensive, and the Ukrainians are basically buckling. And that's going to be a heck of a blow to the globalists, because they want the Ukraine. They wanted the wealth of Russia. They wanted to break up Russia and steal its natural resources. They're getting a shock there. So things are not going to just go along on an easy ride. The globalists are about to face a lot of problems. And of course, in Europe, there are a lot of patriotic parties. We've seen this new party in Portugal, GETTR, which means enough. They came from nowhere, took 20% of the poll. We've seen National Rally are now way ahead in France. We've got the Brothers of Italy in charge, and they've got a radical agenda if they can put it into operation, We're seeing the populist win in Holland. We're seeing the alternative for Dutchland asserting themselves. There's big waves now because people realise this can't go on. This neglect of our country, these open borders, this endless debt, it just can't go on. Eventually, reality is going to dawn that the people who are ruling us are not worthy of that position. What we need in this country is a new ruling class. We need to get patriots back in charge. We need to get people who love this country, committed to this country, and have the right values, British values. This is the character. We need this character back in our country. If we don't get it back, we're going to the war, because what's happening at the moment is that the Hindus, the Muslims, the Africans, they're on the march, they're taking ground, but they've got no vision for this country. In the end of the day, they'll all end up fighting each other for control of this country. We'll end up like the Punjab, where they come from, which is totally sectarian, where they all hate each other and fight each other endlessly. And what's going to happen to the British? What's our future in this land? Jack, what do you think?
Well, we all know the 2066 statistic of Professor David Coleman, a demographic specialist, said by 2066, the way things are going with birth rates and everything and immigration, white Britons will be a minority in their own homelands, and I believe we're going to be a hated minority. It's the whip hand speech, isn't it? I think we're going to be marginalised, given the shitty end of the stick with everything, and unless, again, like you say, there's a catalyst. And you're right, there is rumblings across Europe, but I was going to say earlier, look at that backdrop there with the leaders, right? I could see that happening in France, Germany, places like that. I could never see it. You'd never see it in Hungary or Poland, the Eastern Bloc, but you could see it in these Western governments that have been absolutely zogged and taken over, right? You can absolutely see, how much, there's a massive African contingency in France. You can easily see one of them being the next president. They have a president and a prime minister in France, and he appointed a flaming homosexual, didn't he, as his prime minister, because it's another box, isn't it, for the DEI and the ESG and for all the shit libs that are watching, right, that love all that. But yeah, going back to getting our country back, Paul and John, it's going to be a fight. And like I say, I'm a pacifist, right? I don't want to fight people. I don't think we should have to fight. I don't think we should be in a position where we should have to fight people in our own homelands for control of our land. It's insane to think that. But yeah, Paul, someone said something interesting in the chat, because I know you know all about the globalist Zionist control and everything. And Trump is an ardent Zionist. So where do you stand? Where's the conflict of interest with? Just want to get your thoughts on that, because obviously you know he's a Zionist, but obviously just like you, I know he needs to come in to save that country, right?
Yeah,
so
I understand what you're saying there. Let me just say one thing first, right? You can easily appoint anybody into a position of power. I mean, Rishi Sunak's been appointed. Humza Yousaf's effectively been appointed. All these people have been appointed. They're puppets. But it doesn't mean they can do the job. It doesn't mean they can actually govern a country. It doesn't mean they're competent and have the right policies, all right? You see, the problem is, it's not only these people are totally incompetent. The civil service now have applied the Equality Act, and they appoint people not on the basis of meritocracy anymore. They appoint people on the box ticking. Are you from an ethnic minority or a sexual minority or a minority of a minority? It's the tyranny of the minorities, isn't it? But they're not up to the job. And the thing is, it's not an easy world out there. It's a tough world. Britain has to compete against the likes of China, against the likes of India. We have to compete economically. We have to compete in the political stakes. I mean, there's possibly a war on the horizon. We're not up to it. These people are not up to the job. And although they're appointing them, they can't do it. And everything's spiraling out of control. It's a bit like America with Biden. Everything is spiraling out of control, going down the plug hole, and people know everything's going in the wrong direction. The thing is, our comfort zone has been so secure for so long that we take it for granted, but we're going to lose it very shortly, and we're going to start feel very uncomfortable. Getting back to Trump, right? Trump knows in America the Jews are now the ruling class. They rule the roost. They control every politician. They control every institution in America. Their money, their organization. They have their own secret organizations like B'nai B'rith and so on, which is the Jewish Freemasons. They have the American-Israeli Public Affairs Committee. They have all these groups, which control American politics, which control DC. They control Wall Street. They've got all the billionaires, the Soroses, the Zuckerbergs, the Sergey Brin, the rest of them. There's loads of them, but they got the billionaires club on Wall Street and in Manhattan. They control the money. They control the politics. Trump knows that. He's not stupid, and you can't go against that unless you've got real power. He knows he can only challenge these people when he's actually in the White House. That's why they knifed him, because when he was in the White House, he made the border secure. The big thing about the Jewish ruling class here and in America is they want open borders. They want to change the demographics of the country. So instead of facing a united, cohesive British bulldog spirit, American spirit, they're facing a multicultural, multiracial society, which is a total mishmash and which has got no inner identity. It's got no blood lineage. It's just a groups of people who've been all thrown together, and they're not going to fight their corner. They're quite happy to be ruled by the Jewish ruling class. Now, Trump is an American patriot, and he knows what but he's got to be realistic. In order to limit and overcome this Jewish ruling class, he's going to have to get power in DC itself. He's going to have to take it. But this is what he was doing. He was actually igniting American patriotism. I mean, the thing is with Trump is he also appeals to a lot of black male voters because they respect his values and they want to be Americans as well. So they're on board. So he's got a broad coalition to take on the ruling class in America, which is dragging America into the dirt now. See, America has changed since the Second World War. In the past, America was ruled by the Anglo-Protestants, the WASP, the white Anglo-Saxon Protestants, and the Jews had to conform to the WASP narrative. A lot of them converted, become Episcopalians. A lot of them married into the ruling families in America. But the Jews, after the Second World War, didn't want to do that. They wanted to rule themselves, and they pushed the whites to one side, and they've taken over. I mean, listen, there's a guy called Paul Gottfried who gives a lot of talks on YouTube. He's a Jewish American. He explains what's happening. He's a conservative. He thinks it's a step too far. The Jews, you see, are only a tiny minority in America, but they now rule the roost. They control the media. They control the politics. They control the institutions. The truth is, they've taken over the West. This is why, and they call it the melting pot, the Kalergi plan, but it's about completely transforming our countries and taking our traditions, our spirit, our character, our institutions, taking them over and destroying them and putting theirs in the place. It's an horrendous scheme they've got to transform the West. And the thing is, they're not a good ruling class because they don't rule in the interest of the majority. They rule in the interest of themselves, their own money, their own power. And therefore, they cause a lot of damage along the way. And they seem to have a real love of wars. Right. Wars which involved us fighting each other and destroying each other. And they're keen on another world war. I'm absolutely certain about that. They're not going to let this Ukraine situation go. They're going to try and provoke a world war in the Ukraine. But China's with Russia, Iran's with Russia, India's with Russia, Africa is now lining up behind Russia. And it's not the pushover that they expected. This isn't like an asymmetrical war that we saw in the Middle East where they're just facing these Arab nations who they could just push aside. The Russians push back and hit back hard, and they're going to lose. And it's about time that they got a bloody nose and will humble these people because they're now too big for their boots, Jack. This is the problem. Trump knows that. And Trump will bring them down to size. I'm convinced of that.
Right.
John.
So I'm picking that Rishi's going to go next because the Tories have just failed everywhere. He's not going to last till the end of this year. He'll be out. Once he's out, he'll travel off to America and we'll never hear of him again. And the cheaper the box tickers. So he's out next. I don't think we're going to get Sadiq Khan out that easily, tell you the truth. He's well dug in. He's not going to go that easily. Umsat, while this Palestine thing's on, he's going to stay in. He definitely, because the Israel and Palestine ticks boxes, so he's going to stay in. Obviously, Leo's gone. Now it's up to, I don't know who's going to be taking his place, but
Simon Harris.
Who is?
Simon Harris.
And which party is that?
Fianna Fáil.
Right, and I don't know Simon. What's he like?
Well, like I said, I don't know too much about him, but this is the guy who's been dubbed the White Obama. Like he's the one who's. I think he come from an education minister position, but I think he's quite young. And yeah, again, he's just a man in a suit who they will put words in his mouth. And then they're all interchangeable. These people, you just put a new head on the suit, you know. Like Lego.
Well, I'm picking Rishi, and I think the Wales guy, he'll do at least one term before he goes. But I'm definitely picking that Rishi's first out of all that lot. What do you think, Jack?
Yeah, I mean, do you think he'd jump? Because he knows he's doomed. Have you seen the campaign for Tories to get 0 seats and just be destroyed? Like, it's almost worth voting for Labour to see that, you know?
So
yeah, I mean, Tories are gone. They're going to be decimated in the general election. It's obvious to anyone who's got a fucking brain cell in their head. Tories are done. But I would actually like to see them. I would actually like to see the party torn up and start again, because it's what we've had since 1997 is pure Blairite governments. That's what Cameron was, and everyone who followed after him. May. It's just Boris. It's just Blair. We've had Blairite for 30 years now. Policies hasn't changed. There's a uni party. They all stand for the same thing. They don't care about the immigration because, like you say, Paul, we've got the means. We could have the Navy in the fucking Channel tomorrow. We've got the means. Just don't have the will. They don't want it. You know, we've had record numbers already this year, haven't we? That's not going to stop.
We gave Boris. We gave Boris an 80+ seat majority, didn't we? To change everything, to change the Blair agenda. And did he?
People believe this bullshit.
Go on, Jack.
People believe this bullshit. Unfortunately, you know, it's waffle because he was good at waffling, wasn't he? That's what he was good at. He stood there like that with his hair like he combed it with a toffee out, with his shirt all dishevelled. It was an absolute mess of a man. Like as a leader, it's quite funny when you had Trump meeting Boris and that with their hair.
The problem is these are all globalists, and they're all just part of a globalist movement, a globalist ruling class. That's all they are. Now, it's if Labour will get in, it will be worse. It won't be any better. It will be far, far worse, and we will suffer because of that. Labour will push every obnoxious agenda, transgenderism. Yeah. I mean, they will be militantly anti-white Labour. I mean, if you're white, you might as well not apply for a job once Labour get in power. Labour will do nothing for anyone in this country except tax them. But there's going to have to be a new force to challenge Labour. There's going to have to be a new party because the Tories now have proven themselves. You see, Rishi should go. Everyone knows he should go because he can't do the job. He's proven himself incapable of being a leader of this country. Nobody is listening to him. Yet the Tories haven't got the gonads, the balls to actually get rid of him and bring someone in. Even Penny Mordaunt would be better than him. Anyone would be better than Rishi Sunak because he just is not a prime minister. It's like when you see him stand up, he looks so insignificant, and then he says nothing. It's just waffle. You know, it's hard. For him, it's not an important job. It's just a moment in his career. As you say, he always wanted to go and live in California. I think he should just go and live in California. But, you know, they got Cameron back in. They've got all the old liberal wet Tories in. It's ever since the knife Mrs. Thatcher, the Tory party's been a joke, you know. And I can't see any salvation there. But then you know, we've got this new force, which is reform, and what are they going to do? I hope they bring, but we need the people. I see, where's the British working class? I mean, are people really going to vote for Labour? If anyone's got half a brain cell, they know Labour's a waste of space. I mean, I don't know who's going to be on that ballot. I was not going to vote. If Reform are on the ballot, I will vote, because at least it's a step in the right direction. But we need to go a lot further than Reform. We need the British people to be awakened. But this is the point. How far have they destroyed the British people? What's left of the British character? Now, I see, like, today, for the Olympic team, the change in the Union flag that's behind John there, our sacred flag, which is a Christian flag, and they're putting the transgender, bisexual, homosexual colours on the Union flag for the British Olympic team. That's how far this country has sunk. We've already seen with the English national team that the Cross of St. George, the hallowed Cross of St. George, which goes back to the 12th century as our national flag, that has been replaced by a bisexual flag on the English shirt. I mean, it's just it's mocking us, isn't it? It's like saying you're a joke. It's like saying you're no longer worthy to be a nation. It's mocking us. And where's the pushback? I mean, you hear it on Twitter, but the politicians are doing nothing about it. They could stop it, but basically they're part of the same agenda to destroy us. So unless we've got to wake up, and we've got a National Housing Party, the UK. At least there's one group of people, John, who are speaking sane truths, you know, who know what's actually happening out there and are prepared to say, we'll fight back, come and join us. This is the thing, come and join us, take the step, become a member of the party, stand as a candidate, become involved. We're building a network across the country. Come and become involved, become your local organizer. I mean, it's got to come from the grassroots up, this movement. It's got to be the British people awakened. We're there for the ordinary people of this country to assert themselves again. The question is, have we got the character to do so? If we haven't, we're finished. There's a future for our children. If we haven't, I mean, I saw something yesterday. There's more young girls now going to get their breasts removed than women getting their breasts removed for breast cancer. That's how bad this country's come. We poison the mind of our young kids, and it's going to get worse under Labour. It's going to be horrendous. There's no hope out there unless you get involved. No one's coming over the hill. You've got to get involved, and we've got to do it ourselves. John?
Thanks, Paul. Thank you. So I'm picking Rishi to go next. Jack, who's going to go next?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's Rishi Sunak. Vaughan Gething's just got in. Humza's safe while the Palestine thing's going on, I think, you know. Mayor of London's got the Muslim voting bloc. The Taoiseach's gone. Simon Harris is replacing him. That's a white guy. But again, he's just another head just put on the suit, and he's just going to speak whatever the puppet masters want him to say. So Rishi's gone. I don't know whether he'll go for the election or he'll be voted out. I think he's very narcissistic and hanging on to that role. You know, I don't know what his ultimate agenda is, because he knows he's doomed. You know, one thing, like he's not. I don't think he's like highly intelligent, but he's not stupid either. He knows that the party's doomed, right? He must do. You know, I don't think anyone could be that stupid. But I want to talk about reform quickly, Paul. Did you see them having a purge of all of their candidates that may have said something a little bit spicy? Like Baudet, they got rid of him. A woman, they got about 5, I think, very recently. So I don't like reform. I don't like Richard Tice. I think he's desperate to be part of the establishment. Desperate, you know, to be up there rubbing shoulders with people. Don't like him. I find them. I don't think anything that net zero just means you get people that, you know, English people that are leaving the country for various reasons. Some of them probably just getting out because it's shit. Means you bring more migration in. It doesn't stop migration. It's not. Net zero is a very it's a play on words. You know, it tries to bamboozle people. oh, net zero, that must mean no one's coming in. You know,
the thing is, when you come to the election, Jack, you're going to be presented with a ballot paper. Now, if you don't vote, you have no say. I mean, you've got to. I would prefer to vote. I mean, not that it makes any difference in Liverpool because Labour win by a landslide, but I wouldn't vote Labour. I wouldn't vote Lib Dem. I wouldn't vote for Rishi Sunak. I mean, who have I left with? I wouldn't vote, Green. So I'm only left with Reform.
What if there was what if there was an independent? What if there's an independent on your ballot? Would you just give him your vote? So you voted for someone.
There won't be an independent in the general election, Jack. There might be in a local election, but not in the general. Right. The general, it costs too much, and you need a party behind you.
Does spoiled ballots get counted?
No. If you don't vote, you've got no voice. So you might as well vote for the best of a bad bunch. Of all those parties that you mentioned that vote Reform, because there's no other choice. Unless we were on the ballot, the National Housing Party, but we're not big enough yet to step up to that. We need to keep building our network. It's got to be from the grassroots up, and then we can step into it and make an impact. But I've got no faith that Reform will go. I mean, if Nigel Farage took the lead, I think he's such a big figure, so well known, and so and his campaigns, I think they would have a real, they might actually replace the Tory party as the party of the right. But he's got to step up, Nigel. I don't know if he wants to. He's leaving it late. But obviously, Lee Anderson joined him. They got 4,000 new members. So they've got momentum. I mean, they're the best of a bad bunch. Simple as that.
Can you see any other right-leaning Tories jumping over the Reform? Like Suella Braverman was mentioned, wasn't she? Can you see anything like that?
I think there are a few, not many. I mean, this batch of Tory MPs, you got the Bruges group, so there's 80 of them. I mean, ultimately, they're going to have to make a decision. Do they want to go into oblivion or do they want to join the Reform? That's going to be the choice. I mean, but as I say, salvation in this country, it either comes from the grassroots waking up or it comes from overseas, from the Trumps and the Putins of this world. That's all I can say.
Thank you, everyone. Just again, thank you for everyone joining in the chat. Very interesting. Thank you for coming on for the first time, Rory, and I'll see you on Friday on the Late Night Veterans Show, 9 p.m. You've heard it off us, and I just can't stand any of them people at the back. They're all box tickers. We all 100% agree with that. They have got the skills and they're only there. And this is what's wrong with our country. Every council is like this. If you tick a box, you get in the council. And it just that's why all these councils are going into debt. And it's unfortunately, it's all been planned. Unless we do something quick, nothing's going to happen. But this is a National Housing Party guys, and we're doing something. We're doing something. And I'm very confident of myself and what I can do and stuff like that. But please, as Paul said, join us. Absolutely join us. Make a donation. We've printed over 15,000 leaflets since we started up. And, we're on it. And that's come from almost everything from donations. So we're the National Housing Party. Join us. But last words, Jack.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you for having me on again. I really enjoy coming on every now and again and chatting to you guys. Always good chat. And we try and get to the bottom of these things, so I just want to say to everyone, in the chat, go and check out the National Housing Party's website, go and read what they're about, what they want to do. If you like what they say, just join up, throw them a few quid in the pot so they can carry on what they're doing. You've got John's running for a councillor position. Is it May, John?
Yeah, May the 2nd.
So if he gets in there, he can start talking to the people and start telling him these ideas, and that it's a step on. It's a rung on the ladder, isn't it, guys? So anyone who's doing that for National Housing Party or any independents that are running in these local elections, I wish you all the luck, because we do need to break this status quo. It's over. It's over. We need massive. I don't want to use the word, but we need massive reform in this country. Something has got to change, because if we carry on down this road, we're over as a nation. we'd just be an economic zone, like, you know, Air Base 1 in George Orwell, you know, that's all we'd be.
Absolutely. Okay, guys, see you next week. Take care.
Thank you. Thanks, Paul. Thank you, Jack. Thank you very much. Don't forget, everyone, join the party. I put the link up in the chat. Join the Nationalists Party. Run as a candidate. And I'm looking for a veteran to join our party and be the main contact of veterans to do stuff with veterans. And you will get a good position in the party if you're looking for that. So I'm looking for a decent veteran, or a committed veteran. But yeah, thank you very much. Thank you, Jack. It's a shame we couldn't get Ragz on, but I'll make time.
Right, I just want to give you an update. Ragz is heading home. His mum's doing a bit better now, so she's had a bit of oxygen and that, so she's doing a bit better. So big love. Send some prayers Ragz's way, and Ragz's mum's way. We'll Big John, you'll have to get us back in a couple of months again and bring up another topic, because I mean, me and Ragz are going to start doing streams that are dedicated to like one topic rather than just jumping here, there, and everywhere. Not all the time, because I do like that sort of chaos, organised chaos of jumping around to story. But yeah, I mean, Angry Bootnet wants to do a debate about euthanasia, because we have slightly different views. We agree on fundamentally the main thing, but we've got slightly different views that we can sort of hash out. But yeah, everyone come and join the channel, sub to the channel, NHP UK channel. Me and Ragz do our stream every Sunday. I'm not like sort of whiz kid, so I can't put the link in the stream or anything, but if you look for Ragnar Ironspear, you'll find his channel. We're doing a stream on Sunday, and it's dedicated. We've got the Woodlander on. I don't know if you know the Woodlander, Big John? And Toffee, you know Toffee. So you know what Toffee's like with his dogs, and Woodlander's had dogs all his life. I've got a dog now. Ragz used to have a dog. So it's going to be a stream dedicated about man's best friend and how it sort of evolved, how every sort of dog today descends from wolves. And you've got Chihuahuas, and you've got Huskies, and you've got everyone genetically, like that's their common ancestor, which I find fascinating. You know, how humans have bred them, and how we're breeding them now to have these horrible flat faces that, you know, trying to look like little babies. I think it's horrible. They can't breathe.
Oh,
so yeah, we'll be talking all things dogs. So
it is horrible what they've done. Yes, guys, I am going to reach out to Paz. He did come on the stream the other night, and I did mention physically, but I'll reach out to Paz. But thank you for joining, everyone. Please, thank you very much. There's a few new faces I haven't seen in there. But 9 p.m, late night veteran show this week, and we'll be back next Tuesday. I did try to get No Chance on, but it was busy tonight. But I'm gonna do a Scottish stream, and No Chance will be on that stream. I like his Twitter feeds, and he comes out with some very interesting stuff.
There's also a guy known as DJ Resisting the Lies, who does a lot of good.
I'll talk to him. I think
reach out to him, because if you get those two on, they Resisting the Lies is so knowledgeable on what's going on in like his Telegram channel. Every day he's talking about the policies and things like that. So he's absolutely plugged into what's going on in Scotland. So and No Chances as well. He's getting some great traction on Twitter. He's doing some great posts, and I actually, you know, I'm completely aligned with his sort of political way of thinking as well. So yeah, I missed talking to him a couple of weeks ago because I wasn't very well, because he was on our stream. But I will have him back, because he's a good fella, yeah. And do you remember when I can't remember which podcast it was on, but he was introduced. Oh, it was Off Grid Island, and they introduced No Chance as an English nationalist.
Our job.
Oh, DJ loves sharing that clip around. He's clipped it.
Well, anyway, thank you, Jack. Thank you very much. Obviously, I'm going to be busy on elections now, guys, and I think I have actually got. I'll have a candidate meeting next week, and I'll tell you what I'm going to say. I'm going to ask them about what if I get verbally and racially abused in the street to do with Palestine. That's what I'm going to say, because there's been 2 arrests in Rochdale over candidates running. Simon Dansack got threatened with his life, and Billy, my mate Billy, got abused in the street because because the guys that said to him, "Do you support Palestine?" And Billy said, "Is that the first thing you're going to tell me?" And he got abused for that. And I'm not having it in Oldham. Somebody thinks they're going to abuse me over that, then the police are going to get involved. I'll take them to the highest court in the land, and you're going to get your asses kicked in court, and you're going to go to jail, especially if you abuse me, racially abuse me or anything like that. Promise you. But I'm going to tell it in candidate meeting this next week when we have it. And, you know, I should be thinking about it. With what's happened in Rochdale, everybody's under a threat if they don't support either Israel and Palestine. I don't support any of them, guys. Don't support any of them two countries for whatever reason. I haven't got time for them. So supporting them is not going to solve the rape gang crisis. Supporting them is not going to solve our housing crisis. Supporting them is not going to solve our cost of living crisis or anything. It's not going to solve our NHS or anything. Let's think of and put the UK first. Good night, everyone. Thank you very much.
Cheers. Thank you.